Imagine waking up one day, feeling utterly exhausted, only to find that every single person around you is experiencing the exact same unexplainable, debilitating fatigue. Not a virus, not a famine, but a creeping, pervasive exhaustion that science can't seem to grasp. This isn't a dystopian novel, it's a terrifying, underreported phenomenon that researchers are now calling the global sleep epidemic. To understand the true terror of this slow burn catastrophe, we need to rewind to the late 2010s, a period that, in retrospect, served as a chilling prelude. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly, masked by the everyday stresses of modern life. People complained more often about feeling tired, even after a full night's rest. Doctors dismissed it as burnout, stress, or the consequence of excessive screen time. But the complaints became a chorus, a low hum of collective exhaustion. By 2019, sleep clinics reported unprecedented wait lists, and pharmaceutical companies saw a surge in demand for sleep aids, yet the underlying issue remained unaddressed. It wasn't just about falling asleep, it was about the quality of sleep, or rather, the profound lack thereof. Individuals reported vivid, unsettling dreams, or conversely, a complete absence of dreams, replaced by a black void that offered no true reprieve. The initial data, though fragmented, painted a disturbing picture. Average sleep duration was decreasing, but more crucially, the restorative phases of sleep, particularly deep sleep and REM, were diminishing at an alarming rate across different demographics and geographical locations. No single dietary change, pollution spike, or cultural shift could account for the universality of these trends. It was as if some invisible hand was slowly, methodically, draining the world of its rest. The scientific community, initially slow to connect the dots, began to whisper about an unknown factor, a global stressor, something unprecedented. The setup was complete. The stage was set for a nightmare neither humanity nor science was prepared for. By early 2020, as the world grappled with other, more visible crises, the quiet epidemic of sleeplessness began its terrifying acceleration. What started as chronic fatigue quickly escalated into widespread cognitive impairment. Productivity plummeted. Doctors saw a sharp rise in accidents, errors, and uncharacteristic aggression. The elderly were particularly vulnerable, with cases of severe disorientation and early-onset dementia-like symptoms exploding. Researchers initially clung to environmental explanations, new forms of electromagnetic radiation, silent sonic frequencies, even a bizarre theory linking it to the changing magnetic poles of the Earth. Satellite imagery was scoured for evidence of new atmospheric conditions. Geological surveys sought signs of subtle seismic shifts. Each inquiry yielded nothing concrete. This wasn't some localized problem. It was a global affliction. Reports from remote villages in the Amazon echoed the same symptoms as bustling Tokyo or New York. The scale of it was simply baffling. And then, the stranger phenomena began. People reported seeing shadow figures in their peripheral vision, hearing whispers when alone, experiencing an uncanny sense of dread that would appear and disappear without warning. Mass hysteria was proposed, then quickly discarded, as therapists noted the chillingly consistent nature of these reports across vastly different cultures and belief systems. Some fringe groups posited extraterrestrial intervention, a slow, methodical invasion designed to break humanity from the inside out. Others spoke of ancient curses awakened, or a cosmic alignment that had disrupted our very biology. These theories, though far-fetched, gained traction precisely because no credible scientific explanation could be offered. The medical community found itself battling a ghost. treating symptoms without understanding the disease. Brain scans of affected individuals showed subtle but widespread changes in neural pathways associated with sleep regulation and emotional processing. But these seem to be consequences, not causes. The body's internal clock, the circadian rhythm, appeared to be slowly, irrevocably, breaking down. It was a descent into a waking nightmare, a world where the lines between reality and exhaustion-induced hallucination began to blur. The slow burn of chronic sleep deprivation wasn't just making people tired, it was fundamentally changing them, peeling back the layers of sanity and social cohesion. What was once the private battle of individuals became a collective descent into a permanent twilight state, where the world felt perpetually just out of focus, and true rest was a distant, forgotten memory. No pill, no therapy, no scientific breakthrough could halt its relentless advance. The escalating crisis of global sleeplessness wasn't just a medical emergency, it was becoming an existential threat. The climax of this terrifying sleep epidemic arrived with a chilling, almost silent crescendo. After months, sometimes years, of relentless, insufficient sleep, humanity reached a breaking point. The symptoms intensified beyond mere fatigue. Widespread cases of narcolepsy-like episodes became common, people collapsing mid-sentence, mid-task, only to stir awake minutes later, more exhausted than before. Public services crumbled as critical personnel simply couldn't function. Air traffic controllers made catastrophic errors, surgeons faltered, and even essential infrastructure maintenance became impossible. But the most horrifying aspect wasn't the physical collapse, it was the psychological degradation. Prolonged sleep deprivation began to induce a state akin to mass psychosis. Collective hallucinations became disturbingly frequent. Entire communities reported seeing the same strange lights in the sky, hearing identical, non-existent melodies, or perceiving a pervasive, almost sentient pressure in the air. These weren't individual delusions. They were shared, synchronous breaks from reality that pointed to a deeper, more profound neurological assault. Scientists, desperate, had begun to track these phenomena, mapping spikes in unexplained perceptual events against regions with the most severe sleep deprivation. The correlation was undeniable and terrifying. Some theorized it was a consciousness infection, a bleed-over of disturbed thought patterns across an exhausted global mind. Others postulated a complete recalibration of human perception, forced upon us by an unknown agent that thrived on our vulnerability. The world transformed into a dreamscape, but a nightmare one, where the very fabric of reality felt flimsy and unreliable. People wandered the streets aimlessly, their eyes wide with permanent exhaustion, muttering to unseen companions. Language itself began to degrade as cognitive functions declined. The ability to form complex thoughts, to reason, to connect with others on a meaningful level, all faded under the crushing weight of perpetual wakefulness. Society was unraveling, not with fire and fury, but with the quiet, desperate whimpers of a species slowly losing its mind. What they discovered next, by studying the minute brain activity of the most affected individuals, was not an explanation, but an even darker mystery. During these episodes of collective hallucination, their brains showed synchronized neural patterns as if they were all dreaming the same dream, awake. To this day, the true origin of the global sleep epidemic remains shrouded in an impenetrable veil of mystery. The episodes of mass sleep deprivation eventually subsided as inexplicably as they began, leaving behind a world scarred not by war or natural disaster, but by a collective memory of profound, terrifying exhaustion. A generation grew up understanding sleep, not as a biological necessity, but as a fragile privilege that could be snatched away at any moment. While the intense global phase passed, localized sleep pockets still emerge. Small communities suddenly plunged into the same relentless cycle of sleeplessness and waking dreams before fading away again, leaving bewilderment and lingering psychological trauma. Was it a bioweapon that failed or succeeded too well? An ecological feedback loop gone awry? Or something far more alien, a slow, methodical test of humanity's resilience from an unseen observer? The leading theories now lean toward a previously unknown cosmic phenomenon, an undiscovered wave or field that interacts with mammalian brain chemistry, or an insidious, self-replicating anomaly in the Earth's geomagnetic field that intermittently disrupts the delicate balance of our biology. We may never know the truth, but the terrifying legacy of this unexplained affliction serves as a chilling reminder. There are forces at play in our world, in our universe, that we cannot yet comprehend, and sometimes the most profound threats don't come with a bang, but with a silent, creeping exhaustion that steals away not just our rest, but our very sanity. If you want more mysteries like this, the next video explores the unsettling phenomenon of phantom limb pain in dreams and what it might tell us about the nature of consciousness itself.